As Hans Olsen has moved on to the corporate world, we're looking for the next great Utah sports radio talent.
There's something for everyone.
While we do that, you get stuck with this guy.
Hey, everybody, here's our star.
This is Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, Lloyd. Oh, look, Nate walks in right when Lloyd says, hey, let's get political. Greetings. Welcome to the show. Hope you're all well. It is a Monday. It is post-Super Bowl Monday. We got a busy show for you. I'm flying solo today. We'll have some co-hosts throughout the rest of the week. And in case, you know what, you're on vacation last week and you're like, hey, what's going on with the show? I get it. There's a lot of question marks out there. I will say this. Myself and Lloyd and Nate Dowdle in that room, we've suddenly become very popular. Like, there's a lot of people that we haven't talked to in a while that all of a sudden are like, hey, so what's going on from noon to 3? And if you need somebody, I think I could probably make something work. Like, oh, I haven't heard from you in like 3 years. I have an opening
around noon to 3.
That's what's crazy is my I just kind of have some things available in my life right now, and so yeah, if you guys need to, I guess I could figure a way to make it work. No, but here's the thing, and again, I mentioned this just to reiterate, we're going to take our time. We're going to figure out who we like and really build towards it. And we may take a few weeks. We may take a few months. We're not exactly sure, but we want to make sure we get it right for 2 reasons. Number one, you, the listener, deserve a quality show because you've been around the show for a long time, and we appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. And then number two, from a selfish standpoint, whoever this person is, Lloyd and I are going to have to work with them every day. So we want to make sure we get it right because, look, you could turn the radio off anytime you want. We're stuck with the guy. So we want to make sure we do our due diligence and make sure that we've got the right person available and that can deliver, the high-quality sports takes that you deserve. Super Bowl was a snoozer, to say the least. Lloyd, did you at least have a good spread? Like, what things look like at the Cole House?
Food-wise?
Yeah.
Or you know what? We it was low-key. A little bit of an illness running through the Cole House, just a little bit. But we had some ribs. We did some wings.
When you say we, you mean Jessica?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lloyd.
No.
The smoker needs to be your domain.
I handled the smoker. I put the ribs on the smoker. I did that.
Okay, but did you prep the ribs?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
They're already pretty much pre-prepped anyways. How much do I got to prep them? It's already got spices on them.
Whoa, you buy the pre-spiced ribs?
Yes, we did do the pre-spiced.
Lloyd, no.
No, it was good. It's money. Costco does a nice job.
Oh, jeez. That hurts me.
They were phenomenal.
Okay, all right. Well,
they worked.
If that's your standard for ribs, then good for you.
That's my standard.
All right. There's so much more we could do.
No, I know. And there's times that we do. But yesterday was, you know what? These are spiced. We're done.
Right. Fair enough.
We had some wings that we put some different sauces on. Good.
You probably went boneless too, didn't you?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Okay. No.
All right. You do have standards. You do have standards.
I'm not
okay.
going boneless.
Good for you. All right. Okay. So when I say this, and I know that our boss is in the other room, and when I say this is not complaining at all. It's not. When I lay this out for you, my week last week, it is solely for the intent of saying, how lucky am I? Like, this is one of the greatest weeks I've ever had doing this job. And so this isn't a hashtag grinding moment. This isn't a woe is me moment. This is a how lucky am I moment. All right? Lloyd, I promise you, this is not a grinding. I didn't send out a tweet. I didn't do any of that. All right. Saturday morning, last Saturday, have a Utah State game at 11 a.m. All right. In the middle of that game, get a text from the Jazz. Can you take a red eye that night to Toronto? And I said, absolutely yes. So Utah State game's over on Saturday. Drive to the airport, catch a red eye to Toronto, where the next day we call the Jazz-Toronto game on Sunday. Awesome game. Have a 5 a.m. flight out of Toronto, get back to Salt Lake City. The next day, have our show. Then that afternoon, catch a flight to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Do the show from Albuquerque on Wednesday. Call a game on Wednesday. 6 a.m. flight back to Salt Lake City. Do the show at high noon. Then drive to Logan for a coach's show. Then Friday morning, come back, drive to Bar W Beef. Big shout out, barwbeef.com. Wouldn't have missed that show for the world. Drive from Nephi to Laramie, Wyoming. Call the Utah State-Wyoming game on Saturday. Drive home Saturday night. Walk through the door at 3 a.m. That,
outside of Toronto and Bar W Beef, they had a little bit of a grinding feel.
I will say, oh, stop it. No, it does not. I will say the whiplash going from the NBA, when they travel, they do things first class. They don't mess around. These are highly, highly paid athletes that have very high standards for their hotels. So when you stay with a team on the NBA level, you're going to get some pretty solid accommodations. So the whiplash of going from the Four Seasons in Toronto to 4 days later, the Garden City Hilton in Laramie.
Oh, I thought you went Super 8.
Oh, no. They upgraded to the Hilton. They got a Hilton in Laramie, so it's a little bit better. So, and then in the middle of it, we had a haunted hotel in New Mexico. And then, I kid you not, it's like on some haunted building registry or something. And then to go from Laramie in the Hilton to the Four Seasons in Toronto, that was a little bit of a whiplash. But if there's, and that's not even complaining. It was just like, oh, okay, this is a little different. This is a different world we're living in right now. So overall, though, hell of a week. Just an absolute blast. 4 games in 6 days. 3 of them are wins, Utah State wins. 1 of them was a Jazz loss, which is pretty much a win, right? I think we're counting
it's a win
that
right now.
Yeah. So
what happened the other night was a win too.
Hey, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on.
I know.
So at least they played.
The outcry is amazing. I'm like, you guys have really short memories.
So honestly, if people were to complain about that, but nobody complains when you just sit them out, period. It's almost like the Jazz took more abuse by playing them for 3 quarters and shutting them down in the fourth had they just not played them at all, which makes no sense to me, but calm it down, people. Get off your moral high horse. It's ridiculous. All right, let's get to it. Starting lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, as we start with the Super Bowl. All right, was it a snoozer? Yes, absolutely. Would the Broncos, had they been in the Super Bowl and won it? Yes.
Don't do this.
Absolutely.
Don't do this. I saw you and Christian last night. Oh, Bo Nix would have won. Oh. Stop.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. Well, you'd have to get there first, which you didn't.
Well, because
so let's just leave it there.
Because Bo Nix was banged up and Sean Payton hates field goals.
Apparently, that's a real. By the way, that ankle problem is a real problem. Apparently, he's been dealing with that his whole life, and he's done.
He's done.
Got nothing left.
It's got nothing. It's hereditary. It's or whatever. It's going to be forever.
Hey, you know what? The truth is, if you're a Seahawks fan, or if that's the Broncos, fine. It's fine for you or whatever. But it was 12-0 in the third quarter. That was a terrible game.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. The first touchdown not scored until the fourth quarter. And it was miserable. It was boring because both defenses were playing lights out. And both offenses were just like, okay, we'll just play field position battle. But that's my point here. What can we learn from this game? What is the NFL going to take from this game that they're going to implement with their teams going forward? Because it's a copycat league. And you could say, oh, yeah, well, the defenses. Okay, well, yeah, absolutely. Seattle's defense was great. But they feasted on a young, inexperienced, and frankly, scared-to-death quarterback because his offensive line couldn't block nothing. And he was getting blitzed over and over to the point where he had happy feet, and he maybe had 2 or 3 good completions the entire game. Where he had those back-to-back completions for the touchdown, that's it. Other than that dude was running scared, and I can't blame him one bit. He's 23 years old, had no idea what he was getting into, and played a defense that was playing lights out. But why was that defense able to play lights out? Because, frankly, on the other end, you've got a New England defense that was playing very well as well. They were getting pressure. And they were able to limit offensively what the Seahawks were able to do. So there's 2 things to me that stand out as the difference in that game. With both teams being able to get elite pass rushers and an elite pass rush going in that game. Number 1, experience at quarterback. Sam Darnold won that game for the Seahawks. And I know that sounds weird to say, but you've got a quarterback who stood in the pocket and knew that there was rushes, that the rush was coming around him, and he knew how to step up, he knew how to check down, he knew where to go with the ball, and he could make good throws in very pressure-packed situations. And when I say pressure-packed, I mean dudes flying around trying to knock your head off. And I'm not saying Drake May is going to be a horrible quarterback, but Drake May's not an elite quarterback right now. I know there was all the talk about the MVP. He's not there yet. And we saw why yesterday. Because when he, on the biggest stage, got flustered, he couldn't rise up to the occasion. Couldn't do it. And he played scared. Plain and simple. Both quarterbacks got a heavy pass rush. One of them was able to sidestep, keep his poise, make critical throws down the field. One of them did not. And Drake May, I think, will be a great quarterback. I think Drake May will be a multiple Pro Bowl quarterback. I think that he will be in the running for a couple of MVPs down the line. I think he'll go to multiple Super Bowls, and he'll play much better in those Super Bowls. He'll probably win one or two. He is due for a great career. He is not there yet. It's not taking anything away from his future, but Drake May wet the bed yesterday. Plain and simple. And that defense had a lot to do with it. But make no mistake, New England's defense played really well. The other thing that stood out to me in this game, and I saw this floating around on Twitter last night, so I looked it up, and sure enough, Seattle has the highest payroll in the NFL, used more of their cap than anybody else in the NFL for special teams. And we can talk about the fact that late in the game or throughout the game that Seattle was able to run the football and they had good quarterback play. But the reason why they were up 12-0, as Lloyd points out, they made 4 field goals, it was because of field position. Now, there were people joking around last night and even this morning when we were coming into the office and just standing around the bullpen that said, hey, you know what? The field goal kicker should have been named MVP. And the guy made 5 field goals, yes. But was there any high level of difficulty? I'm trying to think of the longest field goal he made in that game. Was it over 45 yards? I don't think so. I think everything was relatively close. Why was that? Because to me, the MVP in this game was not the kicker, it was the punter for Seattle. That dude made New England start so many drives inside their 10-yard line. And because your defense was playing well and you had a quarterback playing scared, which led to a lot of 3-and-outs, which led to a short field that Seattle could navigate for a lot of that game, which meant Seattle was kicking field goals because they started with a short field because of the punter and the defense. That led to field goals, 12-0, and then you get a couple of gimme touchdowns down the lane. It was one of those games where field position mattered, and both coaches knew it, and they were playing the field position game, which is why it was so boring. Because there were a lot of third downs where they would just concede and say, you know what, let's not make the mistake because whoever makes the big play on defense will win this game. Whoever gets the turnover will win this game.
Which it did.
Which it
did.
That fumble ended the game. Yeah. That fumble ended the game. That's exactly right, Lloyd. That fumble didn't happen until late. That led to the New England touchdown, which the Seattle touchdown, which completely put the game out of reach at that point. The game was still very much in play. It just needed one play to go New England's way for them to win that game, and that could have been on a turnover. So Seattle and New England both played the field position game. They both allowed themselves to play boring football because they wanted to keep themselves away from making the big mistake. And when you have a difference like that, it will come down to field position. New England never had it because they were pinned back time and time and time again. That kicker was like Lloyd Cole from 110 yards out with his pitching wedge. He was dropping dimes out there. And
throwing darts.
Right. I mean, the coffin corner kicks out at the 5-yard line, stopped at the 4, at the 2, at the 1. Just a tremendous job by Seattle's punter in that game. So,
by the way, I still think Jason Myers' name should have been on there for MVP. Without those 18 points?
Oh, I agree. I mean, come on.
But apparently it wasn't even like on there. I was like, I get it. Probably, yeah, you probably give it to the running back, but still, like he had 18
Wait a minute,
of those points.
He wasn't even an option?
No. I read that he was not an option.
Okay, well.
I read that he wasn't, so.
Now, granted, I've never called an NFL game. Certainly haven't called a playoff game. But a lot of times, when you're at like a conference championship or you're a bowl game or something like that, what they'll do is in the third quarter, they'll bring around these ballots, and they will say, if so-and-so wins, who's your MVP? If the other team wins, who is your MVP? And it's not like multiple choice. You can write in whoever you want. But it sounds like maybe it was a multiple choice answer for whoever was voting on that
And I had
thing.
seen that on social. And maybe that's inaccurate, but I thought I had seen that he wasn't even an option. So I don't know. I don't know how that
That's
worked.
ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous.
If that's the case, yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Because honestly,
18 points,
yeah,
5 field goals. He set a record.
yeah,
Not a good record for a Super Bowl. I'm obviously not a fan of that, but
and then it just overall the day was just kind of blah. The game was blah. There wasn't a lot of big personalities out there. And again, props to Seattle. Seattle wasn't there to entertain you. Seattle wasn't there to try to keep you from you and your crazy uncle to not argue about politics because the game was so boring. Like their responsibility was to win a game, and they did it the right way. They knew they had the better quarterback. They knew their defense was playing well. They knew they had the better special teams unit, and so they played it the right way to win the game. That's it. Now, again, was it the most boring Super Bowl in history? Sure. But you know what else was a very boring Super Bowl? And it's a Super Bowl that I love because my team won, but in reality is probably with that game yesterday and the New England Rams game from a few years ago, was probably in the top 3 of most boring Super Bowls. The Peyton Manning Super Bowl when he won with the Broncos. But guess what? They did it the exact same way. If you go back and watch that game, Peyton Manning couldn't throw a 10-yard out to save his life. Peyton Manning was a shell of his former self. Couldn't throw the ball down the field at all. So what did they do? Well, they decided to play field position because they had Von Miller coming off the edge, and Von couldn't get stopped. That Denver defense couldn't be stopped. So what did they do? They played the field position game, and it worked for them. Same thing yesterday. Boring Super Bowl, but it's not Seattle's job to keep you entertained. It's their job to win the game, and they did it. Now, am I happy about it? No. Is it a game that I want to see again? No. But if I'm a Seattle fan and I'm going to a parade later in the week, heck yeah, bring it on. Let's go. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're listening to Scotty G and Friends on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The great Jeremiah Jensen will join us here momentarily, live from California, San Francisco, Santa Clara, San Jose. I'm not exactly sure. They had everybody stretched out all over the place. So we'll talk to JJ, get his thoughts. He was at the game yesterday and see exactly what he thought out of, again, one of the more boring Super Bowls we've ever seen. And certainly not all right, look, if you're just hanging out with your buddies and you have no dog in the fight.
okay, this will be like a Broncos love fest between you and JJ. Bo Nix would have won.
Did he tell you that?
I'm sure he's going to.
Well, because he'd be right in saying that. And so, yes, there's no doubt Bo Nix wins that game. The Denver Broncos win that game if they're playing Seattle. So, I mean, he's not wrong if he does, in fact, say that. But, JJ's a journalist. He's all about the truth. So, we'll see. But, honestly, when you're looking at a game that we know is a little bit boring, you have to dig a little bit deeper. And that's why, Hans was always really great to talk football with because you got to learn that there's more to the game than just what you saw out there and what you were bored by. Was it a boring game? Yeah, it was boring. But there were reasons why. It's how those coaches decided to play that game. It's how they decided to attack the situation, knowing what they know about the opposing offenses, knowing what your defense was able to do, knowing what your special teams was able to do. It's a field position game, and we're going to shut down offensively, not make big mistakes. It was, look, somewhere in Ann Arbor, Kyle Whittingham was watching that game with a big smile on his face. And he's looking at Seattle, and that's exactly how I would call that game. You've got an elite defense. You got elite special teams. So what are you going to do? Run the football. Don't make big mistakes. Just tell your quarterback, just don't screw it up. And one quarterback screwed it up. The other one did not. And because of that, Seattle, and as weird as it is to say, Sam Darnold led his team to a Super Bowl. Joining us now, Jeremiah Jensen. JJ, how are you?
Scotty, how you doing? Looking forward to getting home, but had a great weekend.
Did you? Were you able to stay awake during the game? I'm sure that's not. Everybody wants to make sure nobody's cheering in the press box. I can't imagine they probably don't want people sleeping in the press box.
Yeah, it was kind of a nice mix there, right? I was definitely relaxed during the game. Let me tell you that. Weird Super Bowl. You don't have a touchdown until the fourth quarter. That's not what anybody wants, right? But I got to give the Seahawks defense credit, Scotty. They made the Super Bowl boring. The Seahawks did exactly what they wanted to do.
Yep, and that's, and I just said while we were getting you on the air, somewhere Kyle Whittingham was smiling because they played great defense, they had elite special teams, and they didn't make mistakes. And Sam Darnold didn't make mistakes, whereas Drake May, his defense was playing very well too, but they didn't have field position, and he ended up turning the ball over. And that fumble, I know it was 12-0, but that fumble ended up really being the difference in the game, and really that was the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah, you mentioned the Seahawks taking care of the football. I think they were the first playoff team ever to go the entire playoffs without turning the ball over. That's insane. What the Seahawks did in this postseason is pretty remarkable, and we're probably not going to remember it much or talk about it because it's been kind of boring and pedestrian as far as how they did it, because it's exactly what we just talked about, the things that don't get you too excited or thrilled if you're sitting there watching at home. But if you're a football guy, you really appreciate what the Seahawks team was able to accomplish. And you look on the other side, Scotty, we're Broncos fans. We love Bo Nix, but there's those things he does as a second-year quarterback. Just like, geez, what are you doing? Experience matters. Experience really matters, and I think that contrast showed in this postseason. Drake May had a problem turning the football over through the entire postseason, and that Patriots defense bailed them out in the previous games. They could not bail them out in this game because the Seahawks are too good. But experience really matters, and it's a lot to ask a second-year quarterback to go out there on the biggest stage and be dynamite. And he wasn't. He wasn't ready for it, and you can't fault him for that.
No.
He's not. He's a second-year quarterback. So, everything came together exactly right for the Seahawks. You got to love the Sam Darnold story. That's a guy that is the opposite of what Drake May is. He's been through it all. He's been told he's a bust. He's been a backup in this league for a while. He had to fight and claw and scratch his way here, and he took advantage of every opportunity he got. You got to love that story. But, you had a quarterback who was ready for the moment, and it's not like Sam Darnold was amazing, but he was good enough.
Yeah.
And the other quarterback just wasn't ready for prime time, but he could be someday soon.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of times, and look, you and I grew up Broncos fans, so we lived through those Elway debacle Super Bowls in the late 80s. So we know what it's like when a quarterback gets pegged as a Super Bowl losing quarterback, and you feel bad for him because you know they're better than that. Well, guess what? I don't want Drake May to go through that because Drake May's got a chance to be a multiple Super Bowl winner. He's got a chance to go to multiple Pro Bowls and win a lot of games, and a good chance he'll do all of that. And so what we saw last night is not indicative of what he's going to be as a professional. He looked like a second-year player playing on the biggest stage with a pass rush that his offensive line couldn't contain, and I don't blame the guy one bit for having happy feet.
No, you look at the talent. You look what Drake May accomplished this year. He was in the MVP conversation for a reason because he had an outstanding season. Now, a lot of the critics will say, well, the Patriots did this against a bad schedule. They played who they had on their schedule. It worked out that way. I think it hurt them in the postseason. It didn't prepare them for what they ultimately reached. But this Patriots team was supposed to be bad. They were supposed to miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
They were not supposed to be here. They are way ahead of schedule. And I'm saying this as a Broncos fan. That scares me because this Patriots team took a giant leap this year that they weren't supposed to take. And I think they're going to be in the mix for years to come. There's a lot of nice young pieces on that roster, and starting with your quarterback. And that defense is great. The Patriots aren't going anywhere. So it's going to get tough here in the AFC. If you're one of those teams like the Bills or the Ravens or the Chiefs are on the back end of their success, you got to be looking at these young teams in the AFC and thinking, man, I don't know how what are we going to have to do to stay on top because these teams are coming. I'm talking about the Jags, the Broncos, the Texans, and, of course, the Patriots. There's some really good young teams in the AFC that are going to be good for years to come. And the Patriots were one of them because they have Drake May, not in spite of it.
So if there's something that a GM watching that game, if JJ, you're taking over a team as general manager, or I'm taking over a team as general manager, there's one lesson I'm taking away from that game yesterday in building my team, and that is invest in special teams. Because a lot of people are talking about the field goal kicker should be MVP. Frankly, I thought Michael Dixon, the punter, had a better case for being MVP with all those pins or all those punts pinned inside the 5-yard line, which led to short fields, allowing the field goal kicker to knock those through. Seattle has the highest payroll for special teams than any other team in the NFL. They've got the highest paid punter in the NFL. And frankly, he deserved every penny of that and more for the showcase. I know we don't like to talk about kickers, and if I had an old co-host with me right now, he'd slap me beside the head. But I think that field goal kicker and that punter were just as important as any other players for Seattle in that game yesterday.
Special teams matters, and if this postseason didn't remind you of that, then you're not paying attention. I'll also add the addition of Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have that electric breakout in this game, but his kickoff return for a touchdown in that San Francisco game set the tone for that game, got the crowd in it, got the players in it, and Seattle went nuts after that. And they absolutely steamrolled the 49ers because of the tone that was set right out of the gate. And so you look back at the trade deadline and the addition of Rashid Shaheed for a team to say, okay, what do we really need to add here to take us over the top? And to look at special teams as one of those things, because they didn't get Rashid Shaheed because he's a breakout receiver, which he is. They knew exactly what they needed from him, and it was that return game that they needed to add to their team. And it was just the little things Seattle knew they needed to do. And you watch what they did, and that's, to your point about what a GM needs to do, all the details matter. The punter mattered. Pinning the Patriots deep in their side of the field over and over again in that Super Bowl, putting a lot of pressure on Drake May and that offense against that dark side defense that's just the fiercest in the league right now. That mattered. And so you have to look at every detail if you want to win a Super Bowl championship, and the best teams do. And a lot of other teams around the league are going to be looking at that and saying, okay, maybe we need to really invest in our kicker and our punter, because, Scotty, you watch it all over the league. Like, these teams are going through kickers like it's crazy. Like, some teams have 3 or 4 kickers in a year. It's like they don't get it. Like, you need to have a guy you can trust. And they're not easy to find sometimes. And so when you find them, invest in them.
Yep. And the thing, too, is there's a lot of, and we see this at the college level, too. I know a lot of coaches that refuse to give scholarships to kickers because they're like, well, I want to use that on my 4-string offensive line, left tackle. And then their field goal kicker goes out and misses 3 field goals, and they're like, well, I don't know what. The guy's got one job. Well, guess what? Yeah, you brought in somebody off the scrap heap, and he screwed it up for you. If you go out and you recruit and you bring in a guy, give him a scholarship, and treat him like a member of the team and really make it a priority, you'll get a good one. And that's the thing. In the NFL, there's a lot of teams that try to go cheap on their kickers and punters, and then they're like, well, yeah, we don't know why he didn't perform. Yeah, because he didn't care about it. And it bit you in the butt. And Seattle, it matters. And because of that, they're a real team, and they won because of it. I want to get your thoughts also on, because, look, you and I lived through that 2013 Super Bowl. Legion of Doom versus this last Seattle defense. Who are you taking?
Wow, that's a great one, because and there's so many similarities, right? And the dominance is the same. I don't know, Scotty. Maybe it's just recency bias, but this dark mode defense, I was watching this team and looking around at some of the guys, and you got Leonard Williams, and you got all these young DBs, and there's just so many guys. You had guys on the 2 deep coming in. And there's a defensive tackle on the 2 deep that came in and just absolutely blew up one of the Patriots offensive linemen. His name escapes me right now, but he just went through the lineman, and while the lineman was blocking him, grabbed Drake May and threw him down. Yeah. That's not a starter. That's a guy on the 2 deep that came in and gave somebody else a rest and went in there and made a game-changing play. They had 7 sacks in the Super Bowl. I'm taking the dark side. I know that Legion of Boom is awesome. Bobby Wagner's going to go in the Hall of Fame, but this defense was truly remarkable this year, and what they were really good at was stopping those explosive plays. I mean, historically good at it, and that's why they're Super Bowl champions. Sorry, probably recency bias, but after watching them and watch what they did, how dominant they were against a team that was that good offensively, let's be honest, you go back and look at that Broncos team in that Super Bowl, Scotty, that was not an offensive juggernaut. That was late career Peyton Manning, noodle arm Peyton Manning. This Patriots team was really good offensively. They made them look terrible. So I got to go dark side. It was pretty impressive last night.
So what's the vibe like? I have not been to a Super Bowl, and unless my team's playing, I don't really have a strong desire to go to a Super Bowl, because I can't imagine what it's like sitting through all those timeouts when you got 4 minutes of commercials at a time.
Yeah.
So what's the vibe like? Is it I mean, does it feel like does it have a good vibe to it? Because it's more of a corporate event than it is a fan event, right?
There's some truth to that, Scotty, but I'll tell you, I'm walking through the gates last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, and you wouldn't believe the amount of Patriots jerseys and Seahawks jerseys, the hardcore fans. There was a sea of them. The Seahawks traveled really well, and you heard in the stadium when the Seahawks walked out the explosion of Seahawks fans, and also for the Patriots. I know it's corporate, and it's really expensive, and there's a lot of who's who and the celebrities and all that going on there. But both of those fan bases traveled really well, and they were out in full force. Those are two great fan bases. The building was electric, Scotty. It was a great atmosphere. It wasn't stale. They did a great job. It was a lot of different things that they did during timeouts or whatever that kept it moving. I thought they did a great job. It was awesome, and I'll give fans credit. The crowd showed up. I don't know how much these people are paying for tickets. They probably mortgaged their house. That's how much they love their teams. I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend it. But that's how passionate the fans were. I mean, you think about the Patriots fans, got people from Boston or Boston transplants, or whatever. And the Seahawks fans are so good, they have their own name. They're called the 12. So if your fans are so good, they have their own name, then you're pretty special. So you felt that last night. So I've been to different Super Bowls, and yes, you make a point with the corporate part of it, Scotty. But last night especially, I think it was because of the fan bases of these two teams. It was a great atmosphere. It was fun. They did a great job in the stadium. It was awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear. So the thing people don't understand, NFL games have, like, you and I are used to, a hot dog that's been sitting on a grill for way too long, or it's been boiled.
Yeah.
College spreads are not great for the media. Some are better than others. BYU does a tremendous job. But NFL games, the media spread is ridiculous. Is it the same for a Super Bowl? And did you go hit that instead of watching the halftime show?
I did not have access to this spread you're talking about.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, I don't know why or how or what, but I was not fortunate enough, I guess, because I had to settle for a hot dog and a hamburger, and the hamburger didn't have cheese on it. So that was a free offering in the media tent after the game. So, yeah, sorry, Scotty, I don't have some kind of great story to share. I had great food outside of the Super Bowl event. Don't get me wrong. San Francisco had some great options, but in Super Bowl, I didn't have that fortune. I did see some of the stuff online. Like Matt Glade he tweeted something like this giant, massive, was it a hamburger?
Yeah.
What the heck was it? It was a giant hamburger. I'm like, where is that? How can I find it? I mean, it'd probably kill me. I'd probably have a heart attack just trying to eat it. But
it looked like
there were some good offerings in the stadium.
It was a $180 burger that they were selling, and it looked like a big giant beef rib, one of those dino ribs that was sticking out of it. And you know what? A different time and day, I probably would have gone for it. But now I look at him like, that's going to make me so sick if I eat that thing. But
to be honest, Scotty, same here. But I'm in the Salt Lake City fat loss phase of my life, and I'm kind of retired from that type of eating. But tempting, very tempting. I wouldn't mind at least trying it.
Yeah, no doubt. JJ, you're the best. Great coverage down there as always. Thanks for your time and safe travels back here. If there's a first class upgrade, make sure you snag it, and Matt goes and sits back and coach. All right.
Thanks, Scotty. I'm not that cruel. I won't do that. At least I won't admit it over the air.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Thanks, JJ.
Scotty.
There he is, Jeremiah Jensen, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and making his way back from San Francisco. All right, 12:51. What you may have missed coming up next right here on The Zone.